Welcome back to RV News, the channel where we bring you the most up-to-date, detailed, and eye-opening reports about the Iraqi Dinar, the Vietnamese Dong, and the entire global currency revaluation movement. If you've been following our updates, you know that we are right on the front lines of breaking financial shifts that could redefine the future of global wealth distribution. Today's news is nothing short of explosive. We are going to dive deep into the latest update that has the entire community buzzing. The Iraqi Dinar has been reported at an astonishing $6.02, and the Vietnamese Dong is soaring right alongside it at $4.93. These are not just random numbers being thrown around, this is news being amplified by none other than Frank26, one of the most recognized voices in the revaluation world, and his update has sent shockwaves across holders, banks, and analysts worldwide. To set the stage, let's revisit where we've been. For years, the Iraqi dinar has been at the center of speculation, hope, and controversy. Many have held on to the idea that one day, Iraq would restore the full value of its currency to reflect its vast oil wealth, gold reserves, and strategic importance in the Middle East. For skeptics, this idea was dismissed as fantasy. But for believers and long-term holders, the day of reckoning was always expected. Now, the reports we're hearing indicate that this long-awaited shift may no longer be a dream, it may be unfolding right in front of us. The $6.02 rate being mentioned isn't a casual figure. It's not just a marginal revaluation. This is an earth-shattering leap that places the dinar above even the US dollar and euro, putting it into the category of the world's strongest currencies. The Vietnamese Dong, often referred to as the sleeper currency of the revaluation movement, has also made headlines. Long undervalued, despite Vietnam's growing economy, its manufacturing dominance, and trade surpluses. The Dong has been pegged artificially low for decades. Frank26's explosive news suggesting a new rate of $4.93 means that Vietnam's economy, too, is stepping onto the world stage with a revalued currency that could shock financial markets globally. Imagine the ripple effect. Investors who quietly accumulated Dong at fractions of a cent, now sitting on wealth that transforms their lives overnight. Together, the Iraqi dinar and the Vietnamese Dong, revaluing to such levels would mark the largest financial rebalancing of modern times. Frank26's credibility is a big part of why this update is being taken so seriously. He has been reporting for years on behind-the-scenes movements, central bank decisions, IMF involvement, and intel from sources close to the process. While critics often argue that revaluation news can be speculative, the sheer volume of evidence lining up behind these latest updates makes this different. Frank26 has emphasized that what we are witnessing is not speculation, but confirmation of moves that central banks and governments have already agreed upon. He stated that the numbers being reported $6.02 for the Iraqi dinar and $4.93 for the Vietnamese Dong are contract rates tied to international oil and trade agreements. These aren't arbitrary, they are rooted in real, documented arrangements between governments and multinational corporations. Now let's think about what this means for Iraq itself. Iraq has always had the resources to support a high-valued currency, with the world's fifth-largest proven oil reserves, substantial natural gas deposits, and a growing gold reserve. Iraq has the raw economic power to back a revalued currency, but political instability, corruption, and wars over the past few decades kept the dinar suppressed. If Iraq's central bank, under guidance from international partners, has truly moved forward with implementing a rate of $6.02, this means they are confident that their reserves and economic structure can sustain it. It also signals that Iraq is stepping into a new era of economic sovereignty, moving away from dependency on foreign military or economic support and positioning itself as a financial powerhouse in the region. Vietnam's case is equally important. The country has been quietly becoming the manufacturing hub of Asia, rivaling even China in sectors like textiles, electronics, and machinery. With massive trade surpluses, stable governance, and rising foreign direct investment, Vietnam has had the fundamentals to support a stronger currency for years. The artificially low Dong allowed them to dominate global exports. But now with global economic restructuring, it appears Vietnam is being rewarded with a fair value on its currency. A Dong at $4.93 puts Vietnam's economy in a completely new light, boosting national pride, attracting even more investment, and placing it among the strongest players in Asia. But beyond Iraq and Vietnam, the global implications are enormous. A revaluation at these levels would reshape the balance of global wealth. Holders of Dinar and Dong, many of whom have been mocked or doubted for years, could suddenly find themselves in possession of life-changing wealth. For banks, this would mean processing some of the largest foreign exchange conversions in modern history. For governments, it could mean a redistribution of financial power, with individuals suddenly gaining wealth that rivals small nations. This kind of shift is not just financial, it's social, political, and spiritual. Imagine millions of people worldwide stepping into newfound prosperity, able to pay off debts, build businesses, fund humanitarian projects, and change lives. Frank26's explosive news also points to the role of U.S. banks in this process. According to his intel, major banks like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and Chase have already prepared special exchange protocols, often referred to as redemption processes, to handle the expected flood of currency holders coming into exchange. This preparation includes private rooms, high-level security, and non-disclosure agreements to ensure that the process is handled smoothly and discreetly. Some reports even suggest that Tier 4B, the group of everyday holders of Dinar and Dong, will finally be called in to exchange at these contract rates. For those who have waited years, this is the very moment they've been hoping for. Of course, such massive claims come with skeptics and caution. Critics will say, is it really possible for the dinar to hit $6.02? Or can the dong realistically go to $4.93? On the surface, these seem like extreme numbers, but when you look at the fundamentals, the oil reserves of Iraq, the manufacturing base of Vietnam, and the realignment of global financial systems underway, it begins to make sense. Remember, currencies like the Kuwaiti dinar are already valued at over $3.25. And Kuwait has a fraction of Iraq's reserves. Similarly, Singapore and Switzerland support strong currencies with economies smaller than Vietnam's projected future output. When the global reset is framed as an adjustment to fair market value, the reported numbers begin to align with reality. For the average viewer and holder of these currencies, the key takeaway is preparation. If Frank26's news proves accurate, the window to act may be very short. Holders will need to pay attention to instructions from their banks, watch for official announcements, and remain calm in the face of excitement. Exchanges will likely require careful documentation, compliance with banking laws, and discretion. The last thing anyone should do is rush recklessly or share sensitive information in ways that could compromise their safety or financial security. Another aspect Frank26 touched on in his report is the humanitarian side of this revaluation. Many believe that one of the reasons behind these massive currency moves is not just financial, but also humanitarian. The revaluation, especially at these levels, is expected to release wealth into the hands of ordinary people rather than just corporations and governments. This could empower individuals to fund community projects, start schools, invest in clean energy, and support global relief efforts. It aligns with the broader narrative that the revaluation is part of a larger plan for wealth redistribution on a global scale. If even a fraction of holders use their newfound wealth for humanitarian causes, the impact could be transformative for countless communities around the world. There's also the question of timing. Frank26 emphasized that these rates $6.02 for the dinar and $4.93 for the dong are already being recognized in certain contract scenarios, especially tied to oil and trade deals. However, the public rollout, where everyday holders can access these rates, may happen in phases. Some banks may initially offer street rates that are lower, while contract rates could be available through private appointments. The key here is that the window is reportedly opening now, and those who have been prepared will be first in line to benefit. As this unfolds, we must also consider the psychological and emotional side of this event. For years, dinar and dong holders have faced ridicule, doubt, and even despair. Many held onto these currencies through financial hardship, clinging to hope that one day the RV would become real. If today's news truly signals the beginning of that reality, the emotional release will be profound. Joy, relief, vindication, and gratitude will wash over millions who never gave up. This is why Frank26's update is being called explosive. It's not just about numbers on a screen, but about the fulfillment of years of faith, patience, and resilience. Looking ahead, the global financial landscape could shift dramatically. In the aftermath, if Iraq and Vietnam are stepping into new positions of St.